The Zelda lore fanatics have been in a tizzy ever since the release of Tears of the Kingdom on May 11th, 2023. And while there's plenty to critique about the game's story structure or pacing, this isn't about that. Instead, we're diving into one of the most heated debates to come out of this game. Did Princess Zelda witness the original founding of the Kingdom of Hyrule? If you've clicked on this, chances are you've spent time turning that question over just like I have. After nearly 2 years of researching, debating, poring over translations, and comparing notes from both the English localization and the original Japanese texts, I believe I've finally found the answer. So sit back as we unravel the untold story of Hyrule's founding. We start with the game's opening. Link and Zelda descend into the deep caverns beneath Hyrule Castle, to ancient ruins filled with Zonai architecture. Zelda, ever the scholar, is intrigued by murals lining the walls. These murals seem to depict not just the imprisoning war, but the very origin of Hyrule Kingdom itself. Let's break down those murals we can see. First, a mysterious, divine-looking figure descends from the heavens, a Zonai. Second, another Zonai holds hands with a Hylian woman. High above them sits the Hyrulean royal crest. Third, a dark figure appears, stealing something precious from the Hylian woman, while being enveloped by an ominous red and black energy. And finally, an imposing figure, the Demon King, leads an army of monsters against the Hyrulean forces. Zelda connects this to legends passed down through her family. She even mentions that her distant ancestor was said to have been born from a union between the Hylians and gods from the sky, the Zonai. Now, some of you might be wondering, wait, wasn't Zelda from Skyward Sword the one who founded Hyrule? Well, was she? Let's consult Hyrule Historia, page 77, which outlines the early timeline like so. The descendants of the goddess Hylia, who was reincarnated as Princess Zelda, established the Kingdom of Hyrule. Here's the thing though. In the Japanese version, it's a little bit different. Instead, it says, a person descended from Zelda, who was the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia, founded the Kingdom of Hyrule. So no, Zelda from Skyward Sword wasn't a princess, and she didn't found the kingdom herself. She was simply the ancestor of the one who did. Which brings us to Sonia. Sonia was a Hylian priestess, a spiritual leader in ancient Hyrule. She meets Rauru, one of the Zonai who had descended from the heavens. The two soon marry and establish the Kingdom of Hyrule, with Sonia as the first queen and Rauru its first king. Pura even confirms this in-game. Rauru is the name of the first king recorded in Hyrule's history. Design notes from Tears of the Kingdom Masterworks, page 105, back this up too. They describe Sonia as having the visual motifs of all of the Zeldas who would come after her, making her, in a sense, the prototypical Zelda. Alright, now let's talk about the big red and black elephant in the room, Ganondorf. What do we really know about him? Breath of the Wild gives us a few clues. King Rhoam states, the Demon King was born into this kingdom, but his transformation into malice created the horror you see now. And Impa? Well, she calls Ganon a primal evil that has endured over the ages. Urbosa, the late champion, adds that Ganon once took or adopted the form of a Gerudo. And that's straightforward enough. Ganon was originally Ganondorf, a Gerudo king who became a calamity through centuries of malice and reincarnation. But then Tears of the Kingdom gives us a stone plaque found in the royal hidden passageway. Here's a translation of that inscription. Our mighty first king sealed the Demon King deep below the earth. When the castle is lost, then the sanctuary will also be lost, allowing the Demon King to resurrect over time. That hatred and malice will be unleashed upon this land. And that malice? That's Calamity Ganon, a cycle of reincarnation and revenge born from the original Demon King's malice. Hold on to that. We'll come back to it. So let's zoom out a bit. The Zora, one of Hyrule's longest-lived species, has a long, well-documented memory. They tell of a princess named Ruto, who awakened as a sage in an age when a stranger with dark ambitions to rule the world had appeared, bringing calamity to Zora's domain. She fought back against this threat alongside a hero and a Hyrulean princess. If that sounds familiar, that's because that's Ocarina of Time. So Ganondorf, the one we know from Ocarina, is the calamity described in Ruto's time. And here's the kicker. By that point, Hyrule Kingdom was already well established, which means the founding we witness in Tears of the Kingdom predates the events of Ocarina of Time. And that's backed up by the timelines in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom's masterworks. From Breath of the Wild, page 354, the Kingdom of Hyrule prospers under the Hylian royal family. The Gerudo King Ganondorf transforms into the Dark Beast Ganon and becomes a threat to Hyrule. Ganon is sealed by the combined power of the hero and the royal family. And from Tears of the Kingdom, page 370, the Kingdom of Hyrule prospers under the Hylians. Calamity Ganon emerges. Ganon is sealed by the combined power of the hero and the royal family. Now, both of these timelines, these graphs, describe the same stretch of Hyrulean history. And in the latter's text, these passages follow only after the founding of Hyrule by Sonia and Rauru. So yeah, the version of Ganondorf we meet in Ocarina of Time is the very first incarnation of Calamity Ganon, the resurrected malice of the ancient Demon King. Whoa. So let's finish with the quote that everyone seems to reference. The Famitsu interview with director Hidemaru Fujibayashi. When asked if Tears of the Kingdom is a new origin story that replaces Skyward Sword, Fujibayashi says, "Without a doubt, this story is set after Breath of the Wild. I would speak to the possibility that, even though this is the story of the founding of Hyrule, there is a chance that there could have been history that's been lost before this too. We didn't produce this in some random way either, and this includes those things left unsaid." To me, this confirms that Tears of the Kingdom did not replace Skyward Sword. It builds upon it. The founding we see isn't the first moment in Hyrule's expansive history, but it's the first true kingdom. The institutional start of the Hyrule we've come to know and love throughout the series. And that's it. That's my understanding of the story of Hyrule's founding, based on in-game text, translated sources, developer commentary, and years of debating the timeline. And you don't have to agree with me. If nothing else, I hope it's made you think. The Zelda series is always evolving. Its lore, like its timeline, is sprawling, sometimes contradictory, and deeply fascinating. So stay curious, fellow Zelda fans.